who is ready to sleep, cozy in bed. Good night, sleepy little princess. In a kingdom nestled between gentle green hills and quiet starlit skies, there lived a little princess named Leora. She had the softest curls, the quietest voice, and the sleepiest eyes in the entire land. Princess Leora loved to sleep. She slept through breakfasts and bubble baths, through music lessons and merry festivals, even during story time and supper. She would yawn in the middle of a sentence and doze off with her spoon still in hand. Everyone in the royal palace had grown used to her gentle snoozing. The royal birds chirped more softly when they flew past her window. The palace clocks ticked slower. Even the castle cat, Muffin, had learned to tiptoe. But her mother, Queen Eleanor, was starting to worry. "She dreams all day," the queen whispered one afternoon as she tucked Leora into bed again. "But she hasn't really lived a day." The royal maid, Miss Juniper, nodded with a sigh as she fluffed the pillows. "She's never seen a sunrise, never played with another child. The world is such a sleepy blur for her." The queen gently brushed Leora's forehead. The little princess was already snuggled into her pillow, sound asleep with a peaceful smile. But that night, as the stars twinkled over the palace roof, the queen made a decision, one that would slowly awaken her daughter's heart, just as gently as the morning sun. The next morning, soft, golden sunlight streamed through the silk curtains. Princess Leora blinked sleepily as the queen helped her into a cotton dress instead of her usual fluffy nightgown. "Today, my little moonbeam," whispered Queen Eleanor, tying a ribbon into Leora's hair. "We're going out, just you and me." Leora yawned and mumbled, "Out? Where?" "To a place where the breeze sings and the flowers sway," her mother said with a smile. "It's called a park." Leora didn't quite understand, but she nodded sleepily and leaned her head on her mother's shoulder as they stepped into the royal carriage. The soft clatter of wheels was like a lullaby, and by the time they arrived, Leora had already dozed off again. But Queen Eleanor gently nudged her awake. "We're here, sweetheart." Leora blinked at the bright sky. There were tall trees rustling above, and children laughing somewhere nearby. Birds flew in gentle loops. The breeze smelled like flowers and sunshine. The queen led her to a shady bench and sat down. "Let's sit for a while," she whispered. "Just watch." At first, Leora curled into her mother's side, eyes fluttering closed. But then something giggling. She peeked under a wide tree. A group of children sat in a circle, passing petals from hand to hand and making up silly songs. Near the sandbox, a girl with braids was building a tiny castle. Her hands were muddy, and her smile was wide. A boy zipped down a slide with his arms raised, shouting, "Wee!" as if he were flying. Leora didn't say anything, but she didn't fall asleep either. She just watched, quiet as a cloud, still as the leaves. And when her mother whispered, "Shall we go home now?" Leora nodded. But something had shifted, just a little, like a breeze moving a curtain. She didn't know what it was. She only knew that the world was bigger than her bed. The next morning, the queen gently woke Leora and helped her into a soft blue dress, brushing her hair with quiet care. "We're going visiting again today," she whispered, "just for a little while." Leora rubbed her eyes. "Will there be pillows?" The queen chuckled. "Not today, my love." That afternoon, they arrived at a lovely little cottage just beyond the hills. It belonged to the queen's friend, Lady Maribel. Leora stayed close to her mother, peeking quietly around the garden fence. There, a girl about her age was dancing between flower beds, twirling with petals caught in her hair. She tiptoed to a puddle to make it ripple. Then she crouched to greet a ladybug resting on a leaf. She was alone, but she didn't look lonely. Leora stood still, watching through the wooden slats. The garden buzzed with soft sounds: bees, breezes, birds, and something else. A feeling, a soft one, like warm sunshine in the chest. Later that week, they visited their kind neighbor's house. This time, Leora spotted a little boy in the kitchen, standing on a stool beside his mother. He was helping roll out dough with a tiny rolling pin, his face dusted in flour. He giggled when a piece of dough stuck to his nose, and his mother wiped it off with a smile. Leora tilted her head, curious. She didn't know that helping could look like that. Messy, silly, warm. She didn't say much, just blinked and didn't yawn even once. That night, back in her room, as the stars shimmered through her window, she lay under her covers and whispered to her pillow. The garden was pretty, and the doughboy was funny. Her voice was soft, and sleep found her soon. But something gentle had begun. like a tiny window, opening just a little bit wider. The days drifted by like lazy clouds, and each morning, the queen would softly open Leora's curtains and greet her with a kiss on the forehead. One morning, Leora sat up and blinked slowly. "Are we going somewhere today?" The queen smiled. "We are. Just a short visit." That afternoon, they stopped at an old stone house where the king's friend lived. Inside, it was quiet and warm, filled with soft rugs and shelves of books. But what caught Leora's eye were the two children playing near the hearth. A girl and her younger brother sat cross-legged with scraps of paper and ribbon. They were building something, a bird with wings that fluttered when they blew on it, a paper crown with glittery buttons, and a little paper dog with floppy ears. Leora sat nearby, knees tucked under her chin. She watched their fingers fold and twist, their heads lean together in whispers and giggles. No one asked her to join, but no one minded that she stayed. That made her feel safe. Later that week, as golden afternoon light spilled across the palace walls, the queen suggested they walk in the royal gardens. At first, Leora hesitated. "But there are no pillows in the garden," she said. Her mother smiled gently. "No pillows, but there are butterflies." That was enough. She followed quietly, her slippers making no sound on the stone path. The garden was warm and sweet, filled with little rustlings and cheerful hums. As they walked, a yellow butterfly flitted past, and Leora, without thinking, chased it, her laughter just a whisper. She didn't catch it, but she didn't mind. She picked a flower, then 2, then 10, and ran to her mother, with a handful of soft petals cradled in her arms. That evening, before bed, she whispered to her plush bear, "I liked the girl who made the bird, and I liked the butterfly." Her lids drooped. Sleep was close, but her dreams now might be just a little fuller than before. Morning sunlight spilled across the palace floor as Leora blinked awake. She sat up and whispered, "Mama." The queen came in with a smile. "Yes, sweetheart? Can I play in the garden again today?" Leora asked. "Of course you can," her mother said softly. Soon, the sleepy little princess was walking through the garden, the grass cool under her slippers. She chased a butterfly past the rose bushes, giggling as it fluttered just out of reach. She didn't catch it, but she didn't mind. Later, in the kitchen, The queen and the maid were making pie. Leora peeked in. "Can I help?" The maid smiled. "Would you like to wash the apples?" Leora stood on a little stool and washed each one carefully. The water splashed and the apples shone. When the pie was ready, her mother gave her a warm slice. "You helped make this," she said. Leora took a bite. Helping tastes sweet. That night, under a sky of deep violet, Leora curled into bed. There were butterflies in her dreams now, and soft grass, and laughter. The little princess who once only slept had begun to wake up to the world. The sun peeked gently through the royal curtains, casting golden stripes on the floor. Little Princess Leora had spent the morning in the garden, but now she sat quietly by the window, her chin resting on her hand. "I want to draw," she whispered to herself. Hearing her, the queen smiled and brought a box of crayons and some paper. "Here you go, my sleepy one," she said softly. Leora picked up a soft blue crayon and began to draw. First a flower, then a crown, then a little girl dancing under the sun. It wasn't perfect, but it was hers. Later that evening, just before bedtime, her father, the king, stepped into her room. He usually came to kiss her goodnight quickly, always busy, always in a hurry. But this time, Leora looked up at him and asked, "Papa, will you sit with me?" The king blinked. "Sit? Now?" She nodded, holding out one of her drawings. "Look, I made us playing in the garden." The king sat down slowly, studying her picture. "That's me." "With your big boots?" she giggled. He smiled, a real, gentle smile, and pulled her into his lap. "I like it very much." That night, they didn't do much, just sat quietly together, looking at her drawings. The king wasn't in a hurry for once, and Leora, in her soft nightgown, leaned against him, safe and warm. As the stars twinkled outside, the king tucked her in and whispered, "Sleep well, my little artist." And Leora, already halfway to her dreams, smiled in her sleep. The next morning, the air in the palace felt soft and quiet, like a lullaby still humming in the curtains. Princess Leora stretched under her blanket, yawned a long, happy yawn, and smiled. She had helped in the kitchen. She had run barefoot in the grass. She had giggled with other children and drawn with her favorite blue crayon. But most of all, she had shared a moment with her papa, That day, when the sun was still high and golden, Leora tiptoed to her mother and asked, "Mama, can I play in the garden again today?" The queen paused. "Of course, my darling." Leora spun with joy, running out into the sunlight. The flowers swayed like they were waving hello. She chased butterflies, picked daisies, and laughed as she twirled beneath the trees. When the sky turned dusky blue and the birds quieted down, Leora padded back into the palace with sleepy feet and pink cheeks. She helped the royal maid fold napkins. She even sang a tiny song as she tidied her toys. That evening, after a warm supper, she asked, "Papa, can we play again tomorrow?" The king, already kneeling by her bed to kiss her forehead, nodded. "Any time, my little sunshine." Leora curled into her soft, cloud-like bed. The moonlight brushed her pillow like a feather. She was still the sleepy little princess, but now her dreams were filled with laughter, friends, games, and blue skies. And every night, after all the fun and all the love, she still returned to her favorite thing, snuggling beneath her covers, whispering a yawn, and drifting gently into a dream. Because some dreams stay with you even when you're awake. Good night, Princess Leora. Good night, Royal Palace. Good night, starlit sky. Good night, little one. Sleep tight.